I realized I hadn't made a video about games in probably well over a year at this point, so I just wanted to kind of do a recap for my own sake and put it out there talking about some game news, some stuff that's come out, some stuff I've played, just kind of do a personal catch up of a bunch of random topics. We'll hit the usual stuff that I talk about a lot on the channel, or I guess that I used to, but regardless, I'll put timestamps if you want to skip around to whatever, or you just want to hear some random game news talk, whatever stuff. So I wanted to talk about Halo because obviously that is my favorite franchise of all time. Love it more than anything, or at least I did before the past couple years, but I said in a video that I did about a year ago that I wouldn't talk about Halo again on the channel on its own kind of set thing unless some really big news happened. And we did get some big developments kind of, but I really wasn't in a huge rush to talk about it since I just frankly don't care that much, but we'll see what happens. So 343, or I guess now that they're known as Halo Studios, put out this little video saying, hey, we are Halo Studios now, we're making new Halo games, and it seems more than anything it was really just a hiring video to be like, hey, we need people to help make the next line of Halo games, and that's about it. But there were some news tidbits like them using Unreal Engine 5 to develop the next couple Halo games, which was rumored for forever. We've known probably that was going to happen. And I mean, that's exciting, I guess. I'm more just worried about them being able to keep the spirit and the feel of the Halo physics and of the Blam engine in Unreal, so I don't know if they're going to be able to do that, but we'll see. I like that there's at least a variety of biomes in the stuff they showed. It wasn't just that iconic Pacific Northwest setting that is all that Infinite was, which made for that game to get really stale. And the rumor even a while before that was that they were going to be remaking Halo Combat Evolved, and I think at this point that still makes a lot of sense, and that certainly kept invigorating those rumors because they had a lot of CE inspired looks. They obviously had that look of the second level Halo with the towers. They had that look with the Mark V Chief armor. It clearly was pushing, hey, this is classic Halo. Combat Evolved on Alpha Halo doing their thing. So I think it would make sense at this point for it to come out next year for the 25th anniversary of the game. That just seems perfect. I don't know if we'll see some information this year, but regardless, I mean, I want to say I'm excited for that, but I don't know. It's, you know, at this point for Halo, it's so hard to say. Like, I'm not super persuaded by this video. And this was, what, 6-7 months ago by this point? We still haven't, maybe not that long. We still haven't heard anything since. So I'd rather them not say anything until they actually have something to show. But, you know, I'm still not necessarily really sold. There was a weird part in the video where one of the devs mentioned how Halo was always at the forefront of pushing like graphical fidelity, and that just seems really weird to me because that's not the case really, and graphics shouldn't be the priority in Halo. Obviously you want the games to look good graphically, you want them to keep up with modern standards, and we all remember the Craig demo, like that graphically looked pretty rough and they got, you know, torn to shreds for it, but that shouldn't be, I think, a driving philosophy in the development of the next Halo game. We want Halo to look good, but graphics aren't the... That's never been Halo. Halo 3 looks beautiful. It's a great looking game, but graphics have never been like Halo. Like, that's Halo. And that just seemed to me like a weird thing to include in this little video, trying to sell people on, we're Halo Studios, we're kind of going back to what, you know, they say this all the time, but they say it's a new era for them. So yeah, and if the CE remake rumor is true, then I just hope they can stay true to the spirit of that game. Don't add sprint, don't really change the mission. Like, I would rather them just play it safe and stay so similar to the original game than try and screw something up. So even if stuff seems dated, I would say lean more towards caution and just give it a actual graphic overhaul that's fitting, unlike the anniversary editions. Keep the lighting proper. Don't just make everything over-designed with weird reach assets. I'm optimistic since it at least seems like that's, you know, they're going based off a template, but also that could just mean there's a bigger chance for them to screw it up and taint a beloved game. And the fact that 343 is no more and it's now Halo Studios, I kind of mentioned this before, but to me, I want to believe them since it seems like most, if not nearly all of the old management that was responsible for 5 and Infinite, and many team members even from the old 343 are gone. It seems like that's the case, but at this point, the brand has been so soiled and it's so hard to trust anything they're saying. And I really do want to believe them. Like, obviously, just like everyone that loves Halo, I adore it and I want it to be great again. But at this point, it's more like I need to see something. Just you talking in this video doesn't convince me of anything, because we have heard the same thing. We've gone through this same song and dance 2 or 3 times at this point. Infinite really was like my last, oh my god, they're fixing customization, they're doing it. We don't need to go down the Infinite rabbit hole, but that really was for me I really thought they were doing it right, and then they didn't. They did, the stuff they did right in Infinite's great, but all in all, they didn't where it really mattered, which was a huge problem. So I'll believe it when I see it, as opposed to just taking their word on it. But I don't know, Halo Studios really might be something brand new and great, and they might be pumping out well-made, good Halo games on a regular basis again, or maybe we're going to have another mistake-ridden studio like 343 that just cannot get their stuff together. So, I don't know, we'll see. If the switch to Unreal at least helps mitigate the problems of freelance employees coming in and having to learn the Slipspace engine and the BAM engine and all those kind of issues, that's great, but again, this was really more of a hiring announcement than anything, and I'm just cautiously optimistic for the future, but certainly not getting excited for anything right now. I do want to say, I feel like a year ago maybe, or like 7 months, I feel like the rumors of MCC getting more content or updates and coming to Switch were a bit prevalent, and then that just seemed to not really be the case. And especially with the Switch 2, that would have been awesome if they had been able to do like a Master Chief Collection coming to Switch thing in that reveal. They didn't. Maybe there is still stuff coming to MCC, maybe there isn't. But I play MCC much, much more than I play Infinite, considering I don't play Infinite at all. So I would love more content for MCC. I would love mods on consoles. I would love just a few more small additions and changes that I think could make the game still better. I love that we have MCC, especially now that for the most part, it's in a pretty good state. I would be remiss if I didn't mention Assassin's Creed, one of my other beloved franchises that had a new entry drop, and I didn't play it because I also don't really care. This game, to which I would have never expected when it seemed like, the leaks, Assassin's Creed, they're finally doing the feudal Japan setting. We've been begging for it for 20 years almost. People were excited. And then this game seemed to be embroiled with controversy over, its entire span of pretty much being announced. People were mad about a Black Samurai. People were mad about the historical accuracy of the Black Samurai. People were mad about Ubisoft in general. The same people that have been mad about Assassin's Creed since 2017 are still mad. It's a mess. And I think, I don't know, I don't have much to say. The game was always probably going to be a pretty average Ubisoft game. And I feel like the game kind of did come and go without much of an impact. I saw the reviews. From the people that I trust online, it seemed to be pretty yeah, it's Assassin's Creed, it's a new open world, big Assassin's Creed, the story sucks, the gameplay is okay at parts, it's a good thing to sink hours into, it seems like it's not as much of a slog as Valhalla, which is, I think good, because that was a huge issue for me with Valhalla, but yeah, it just came and went, and I don't know, I'm not in a huge rush to play it. I am somewhat curious, I'm just to see another Assassin's Creed, and unfortunately, even though I wish that I could get what I actually like from Assassin's Creed from the new games, I don't think that's going to be the case maybe ever again. So for now, I'll just take them as these things that I can sink some time into that are moderately fun to play but have a bad story and are made by a company that can't seem to get it together and has been involved in business problems for a long time now. So I don't know, the controversies seemed to me a bit silly. I get some of them to an extent, but like all things, people start off with a modicum of a point, and then the online culture war kind of discussion goes to a ridiculous degree of people complaining about stuff in the final game that has been in RPGs and even Assassin's Creed games for 10 years at this point. So it's silly, but the game itself seems a bit lame to me. I'll try and get it when it's discounted, but I just don't care too much. Assassin's Creed actually seems to be having a lot of stuff coming out in the next couple of years. There were some rumors, some leaked timeline stuff of their future, and it seems like there's, 9 or 10 games that they allegedly, according to all these rumors, have coming out in the next 6 years, which is insane. I don't want to go through all of them since we really don't know that much about a ton of them, but we know that Codename Hexe game is coming out that they announced a couple years ago, which, at least from a setting perspective, it's like, witch trials in the Holy Roman Empire. I think that could be kind of cool. If it's super different, sure, why not? They're of course going to do another RPG game that's this like Codename Scarlet. They're doing the mobile game, which is the Codename Jade. They're doing the Black Flag remake, which is, out of all of them, the one I am looking forward to the most by far right now, just because Black Flag is a beloved game. It's one of my favorite games of all time, and I am really excited at the notion of playing Black Flag again, but with truly modern, great-looking graphics. From what we're hearing, it's being rebuilt. I don't know if that means it's going to go the full-on remake route where they change a bunch of the gameplay systems, or if it's just going to be more of a remaster, usual kind of just great-looking sort of thing. Or maybe it'll be kind of a weird middle ground, like the Oblivion one that just came out that had updated graphics and a few slight changes here and there, but for the most part kind of functioned as a remake, but they called it a remaster. So who knows what will happen with that, but I am really excited, and please, same thing with the CE remake, don't screw it up. Don't change a ton of the gameplay systems, just update some facial models, some animations, some graphical fidelity, get it looking how a great modern game would look, even though Black Flag still looks great to this day, but make some small improvements here and there, but keep the core of the game intact. Obviously, Black Flag is flawed, but I would rather them, just like we talked about, keep it close to the core and not really mess anything up. One game that did come out in the past couple months, at this point probably going on like 6, was probably the biggest multiplayer game that has come out in quite some time, being Marvel Rivals. And I did play it, I still play it a little bit, but I overall really enjoy it, which at this point is just something that I want from a new multiplayer game that's coming out. Obviously, over the past 15 years, the gaming market has evolved in such a weird way, transitioning to, as everyone knows, live service games with battle passes that are free to play, that have these, crazy long lifespans with these events that are constantly going on. The landscape has just changed significantly compared to when I was mainly playing games, 10 years ago. But Marvel Rivals, as being a modern game that comes out, I think it's pretty good. Obviously, me being a fan of Marvel characters, I like how a lot of them are implemented. It's cool seeing a wide range of characters be represented. It is extremely similar to Overwatch. Not that I'm complaining, because I love original Overwatch, but just in the way the matches are structured, the UI, the rules, it's that type of game, but I think just well made, which I'm happy to say. For me, there was a bit of an adjustment getting used to things like the third-person mode, and this game also still has stuff like modern game monetization, the battle pass. All of that, like I said, is fairly standard for modern free games. I just don't really care about it. I don't really have any interest in the battle pass. I got the first one for the first season, I think, that was like $10 because I was playing it a lot. And I was like, oh, maybe there's a cool Moon Knight skin that I want to get. But it's a fun thing to play with friends. I think the competitive is a pretty good time, frustrating as every competitive game is. But they seem to be putting out well-paced seasons and new characters. So yeah, I am really enjoying it, and I am still playing it, at least somewhat, which I am happy to say. And definitely for me, this is the multiplayer game that I have played the most since Halo Infinite, and that was, 4 or 5 years ago at this point. So I would recommend, if for some reason you haven't checked it out, go play it if you think you'll be moderately interested. I also played through Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, the Bethesda, Xbox published, and Machine Games developed Indiana Jones game, and I thought it was pretty good. I think its main appeal does come from the Indiana Jones vibes it gets right, as opposed to the game mechanics themselves. Not to say they're bad, but this game nails the Indiana Jones atmosphere. It gets the visuals of the environments right, it gets the music right, there are so many cool set pieces. Troy Baker gives an insanely good performance as Indy that, paired with many of the moments of writing, just feel right at home for me with the rest of the series. There are many different parts of the game that just ooze the Indiana Jones feeling, which is really cool to capture in a modern, graphically good-looking game. The gameplay I generally think is pretty fun, maybe a little bit standard, but I wouldn't say bad. Some of the combat doesn't feel polished exactly, but I was always able to enjoy it even if I was breaking the game while doing so. It's one of those that I wouldn't say was great all around, but just an enjoyable experience. Like, the AI especially had a ton of moments where it seemed to break, and it never really impressed me much. The writing as well never really had me too, like, enthralled or engrossed in the story. I think Indiana Jones is written in character for the most part in the game, and I always was somewhat invested because, again, the character that we know and love and how much we care about him from the films, especially once again paired with the performance from Troy Baker, I was always fairly invested, but the story this game tells is pretty whatever to me. A very serviceable villain, a very serviceable sidekick. It does the job, but it was never compelling me to keep playing. I was just generally enjoying the gameplay and kind of the setting of what I was doing. Generally though, I liked it, and if you're a big Indiana Jones fan, which I'm not even, I mean I like the movies, I love the third one, but if you're a huge Indiana Jones fan and you've got some free time, go for it, check it out. And this is a game that I don't think I would have paid for, at least not at full price, so I am glad that I got to play it through Game Pass, and I think it's a good Game Pass game if you like Indiana Jones. The last recent game has been Astro Bot for the PS5, another game like Resident Evil that I knew pretty much nothing about, but after hearing nothing but constant praise and praise for it over the past couple months and it winning Game of the Year, I decided to try it out. And after a good couple hours, I am starting to turn into a really big fan. And just because it is so charming, so fun, and so satisfying on multiple different fronts. It's a fairly simple platformer, you know, with a really good-looking art style, great music, and just fun, varied worlds and different abilities. I like how much of a fun throwback it is to so many of the PlayStation franchises, and having the different levels modeled around those I think is just super cool. I like that it uses the physicality of the PS5 controller in interesting ways. And I honestly really don't have much to analyze about the game at the moment. It's just fun and really enjoyable and satisfying. It's a game that I really appreciate, and I saw the sentiment going around about how important it was that that's what won Game of the Year, and I agree, because I just think it's cool that the acclaimed Game of the Year of a modern video game year didn't have to be this hyper-realistic graphics supporting a 50-hour RPG with a million different dialogue options and player choices and a massive open world. Like, it's important to recognize just a simple, well-made, charming platformer that still, I think from a lot of technical aspects, is really impressive and is accessible to a lot of people and is above all just fun. So with every hour I put into it, I get the hype a little bit more, and I'm just really enjoying it. So if you have a PS5 and you haven't played it, I would say it's pretty hard to dislike, so give it a go. I would say it's worth the full asking price. So what else do we have to look forward to in the future? Well, there's a couple things in the gaming world that I'm at least curious about. Split Fiction already came out, but I really want to play it, and as soon as I get some time, maybe after I finish Astro Bot or whatever order I want to go in, I think I am going to check it out, and I'll probably obviously try and play with a friend, because I heard great things about It Takes Two, and I really like A Way Out even with all the silliness around it. You gotta respect what Joseph Fares and all the people over there at Hazelight are trying to do with co-op games, so I think it's really cool. Doom the Dark Ages, next Doom game is coming out. I didn't realize in like 2 weeks now, so I of course am really looking forward to it. Gotta love Doom. I love that they at least kind of keep mixing up the gameplay formula with each one. I really don't have a preference over Doom 2016 and Doom Eternal. I think I might prefer 2016 just a little bit, but I really like them both, and I'm sure I will enjoy this game. They're still making that Marvel 1943 game. That is apparently supposed to come out this year. Don't think I believe that, since we haven't heard anything or seen gameplay. I really don't have any comments other than they made that one crazy good-looking CGI trailer that probably blew all their budget. That was Unreal 5 too, I think. I don't know, we'll see what happens. Marvel games certainly have been doing better than DC games with their studios getting closed, so we'll see what happens. Ken Levine's next game, Judas, is also set to come out this year, which I am really looking forward to. Obviously, I adore BioShock. I love 1. I really like Infinite. Haven't played 2, but I'll play it before this comes out. It's still set for a release date for this year as far as I know. I am hyped for it, and I will probably plan on getting it unless for some reason the reviews are just terrible, but obviously taking a lot of inspiration from BioShock, so I'll be there. I want to check out what kind of story he tells next, and I'm excited. They're also making, for some reason, Dying Light the Beast, which I adore the first Dying Light game. I still enjoyed the second. I definitely agree with the sentiment that it's not as good as the first. The story was somehow worse than the already forgettable story in the first game. But I am at least somewhat interested in this, even though it was supposed to be DLC for Dying Light 2 originally, because Kyle Crane is back, and as far as I know, Roger Craig Smith will be playing him again, which his presence in the first game was a big part of why I enjoyed it so much. It wasn't the gameplay, obviously, and the story was still really forgettable, but that character just was so much more entertaining to me with the performance than Aiden, is that his name in Dying Light 2? So I'm excited. I hope it still is planned to come out this year, and if it does, then I will be getting it because I'm a big fan of Dying Light. I feel silly even bringing it up. Wolf Among Us 2 is in the ether somewhere. Who knows where it is? Do I ever believe it's coming out? No. Even though we did get, I think, we got some screenshots maybe last year? I don't know. It's stupid. I don't have a huge investment in the Telltale stuff at this point because that's all been such a mess. If it does come out, great. I will be playing it, obviously, because I love Wolf Among Us. But do I believe it's going to come out? I'm at like a 50-50 chance right now. Final thing I wanted to mention was some game-related media that's been coming out. The Last of Us Season 2 is out. We're 4 episodes in from the time of me recording this, and it's brought back a lot of discourse from the game releasing 5 years ago, and that has now been combined with the show discourse from Season 1 and leading up to Season 2 that has made for so many varying opinions of weird, different groups of people online that has kind of been all over the place. I thought the first season of the show did a pretty good job adapting the game into the television format. Obviously, it did a lot of that because the game in itself is already so cinematic, so there wasn't that much work to be done. They even lifted so much dialogue straight from the game, and they lifted so many scenes and moments straight from the game as well, which they should because those moments are great. And even though the show I don't think is as good as the game because the connection between Joel and Ellie just isn't as strong, I don't think, in the show as opposed to the game, and I don't think the delivery of a lot of the lines is as good, and I just think overall this is where you're going to get your difference of mediums. The game is benefited a lot more by the time that you spend playing as Joel and the small time you spend playing as Ellie to establish that connection and have it grow to where when that ending hits in the first game, it hits so hard and harder than many other game stories ever have. And the show was able to translate that in a way that was good. The show is its own piece of art, I think, is well made. A lot of really great production elements. I think the casting, I know it's controversial to some people apparently, Pedro Pascal did a good job as Joel and Bella Ramsey did a good job as Ellie. I think they work well together in that season, and even though Bella Ramsey doesn't look like Ellie, that performance was able to embody the energy and the spirit and the character of the character in a pretty accurate way, and that's what I care about more than physical looks. So seeing the brazen hate campaign online for Bella Ramsey has been kind of wild because I get it, I'll complain about stuff that I say is bad all the time. But the people saying the performance was bad and that Bella Ramsey isn't a good actress is kind of wild to me because there are so many moments that you can point to in the first season that are a great performance. And even though that season of television isn't as good as the game, there were still some changes and additions made that I found really interesting and that independently I found to be an improvement overall. So I thought it was a good adaptation for the first season. Now we move into the second part based on a game that obviously is highly contentious. A lot of people love it, a lot of people hate it, and it has been pretty interesting watching the second season because they for the most part are sticking pretty close to the game. For me, I don't think the game is very good. Writing-wise, I thought it was pretty flawed in a lot of different areas, and I don't want to get too into it, but it essentially, for me, comes down to the transparency of the writers and what they were trying to accomplish with you sympathizing with Abby and with that narrative, in addition to having some characters act out of character, a lot of silly moments. I don't think the relationship between Dina and Ellie was really strong enough to be that heart of the game that it needs to be, especially for the third act and where it goes. I could talk about The Last of Us 2 for a while, but overall, I don't think the writing and the narrative is too great. So this season of television has just been kind of whatever for me. Most of the changes so far, I don't think have really made it worse, which I guess is good. I know some people were mad about the fact that it took Dina and Ellie a little bit longer to actually establish a relationship with each other, which I still don't love how it's done in the show, but I definitely think it's an improvement in the game. And people just seem so dead set on, even the ones that love this game, loving it, that they're not willing to give the adaptation a chance to improve things and to make things a little bit better. There's lots of stuff to talk about with the show and with the second season, but like I said, I don't think the adaptation so far has made many changes that have made it worse. I don't feel super strongly about it. I just am not loving it. There's some changes that I do think are better than in the game. I think some small stuff like Joel not introducing himself and getting himself essentially killed in that moment was a small change that improved it. I think having Dina and Ellie's relationship being a bit more naturally built up to is an improvement, and we'll just have to see what happens. So I will keep watching for now, just kind of out of pure curiosity, but I may end up making a video on the Last of Us games and the show because it really has made me want to replay both games, just kind of out of curiosity, and to see if I could reassess the last game and kind of my problems with it. But I will keep watching for now. I think that'll do it for my little catch-up thing. I really wanted to talk about some game stuff for the first time in a year at this point. I hope this didn't go on too long. But if you found anything I talked about entertaining, let me know. Let me know what you think about any of these topics. Maybe not The Last of Us, but Halo, Assassin's Creed, Astro Bot, the gaming state right now. I didn't even talk about any industry-wide stuff because it's a mess with layoffs and big mess of goop that I haven't talked about recently. But I don't know, I want to keep making more videos again, so we'll see what I talk about soon, but let me know what you think about anything, and thanks for listening to my crazy rant. See you next time.